And a game that made me like open my eyes a lot more to that recently is Raven Dawn. I don't know if you guys know that it's a little bit of an indie game that came out similar to Tibia, which was an old school MMO. And the guy that was that is doing the game, he was actually from Steven's Guild back in the day, the White Order. And it's interesting, they implemented a lot of the systems that we are going to see in Ashes, like the Caravan, the trade pack systems, the open world housing. Like it's a fully open world PVX game with a flagging system as well. And it's quite interesting. If you guys remember that Caravan discussion that we were having, like people saying there's no risk for attackers, people are going to be jumping caravans all the time, nobody's going to be doing it. The other day, a friend that is playing the game was telling me, like, it's very boring now because no one is attacking caravans, because, I mean, what's the point in spending a lot of time searching for them, since you spend 40 minutes trying to find a caravan, trying to fight it to maybe get a little bit of loot. You can just go and do your own caravan. And that's what people basically do it. And the amount of PvP that happens in the open world is very specific. It's
very specific. Like, but yeah, real quick with the caravan thing though.
Yeah.
One thing. So imagine this. Imagine a game world, right? Where most games, the majority of players do PvE more so than they do PvP. Just more people enjoy like sinking into PvE stuff. So let's say most people enjoy doing PvE, but all the bosses in the world are basically open world bosses. Once they're dead, they're dead. We don't know what the timer is. We don't know how often they spawn, or if it's going to be a steady spawn when it comes to raids and dungeons, or if it's going to be a mixed bag RNG spawn timer. Now, let's say people have a way, be it the CCTV cameras, where they park an alt at a dungeon to look for bosses. They park alts at raid open world bosses and stuff like that. And they look around and there's nothing. There's no PvE content to do. But tonight's raid night. You can't even predict raid night. So now it's going to turn into combat night. We're going to do some combat, guys. It's either going to be, we're going to search around. If there's a raid that has some bosses up, we're going to do it. If there's a dungeon that has bosses up, we're going to do it. If there's an open world boss, we're going to do it. If not, if somebody has a ship, I guess we could do some seafaring combat. If not, we're just going to search everywhere for caravans, because that's the only combat there is to do as a raid. Now, with that in mind, like outside of the last statement that there's no other combat stuff to do, because that's a subjective statement. I would say objective, but it's probably realistically more of a subjective statement. Like, do you really think that there's not going to be people, like large groups of people, just roving around, taking part in PvP that's designed to be conflict and continual conflict?
I mean, for me, like in every experience that I had with these games, people want to be efficient, like especially when you think about like organized PvPers that get together to do content. I mean, they want to progress, they want to do things, they want to get gold. They are counting like how much money I'm making per hour, what gear am I getting. Like they want efficiency above all. And I mean, if the game doesn't have enough content, like what happens with, let's say, for example, a game like Mortal Online 2, it's a sandbox open world game. There's dungeons, there's a little bit of grinding spots, there's crafting, there's some stuff to do, but there's not a lot, because the main content in the game is the PvP, the wars, the fights between players. And when you think about those types of games, like really heavily on the sandbox, I think, yeah, for sure, people are just looking around for PvP, for ganks, for other players to kill all the time, because that's what there's to. That's the main content in the game. When you think about games like, as I was saying, like Raven Dawn, or where I believe will be Ashes of Creation, I honestly think that people will be a lot more busy doing things that give them rewards, like doing caravans, doing their their daily node activities that people are gonna do. Like large guilds, they're gonna be busy doing the weekly events for the castles. They're protecting their own caravans for the castles, like node activities. I do think that there will be a lot of content for people to focus on. I don't really see like an opportunity for a large group, like let's say 40 people, to get together just to walk around like 40 minutes looking for players to kill. I honestly don't think that will happen a lot often in the game, if they deliver on all the content that they're promising, of course. I mean, I wouldn't do it for sure.
Well, yes, but see, then you get into the math of it. So a caravan can turn in for 3 times the gold for a party of 20 that needs to escort it to keep it safe, right? Or a party of 20 can jump on it and get half the value by turning it in because they stole it from someone else. Now, 3 times the profit for potentially, say, a week's worth of effort. Whereas the group that takes it, they spent one day searching around for one single caravan. They took out that one caravan and they could get a week's worth of loot out of it. Or if they're searching around for 4 hours, they might bump into 2 or 3 caravans. They might be able to turn in 2 of them.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's basically how it works in every game that has a trade pack system. That's basically the thing that was with Arcade. It's the same thing with Ravendell now. Like for you to craft, you need to buy the materials, or you need to plant stuff, and you need to put together, craft your trade pack, and then you need to transport it to sell. Like if you just steal it, you are skipping a lot of progression and cost. You're just stealing something and delivering it. That's how it works. So it is a lot more profitable, of course, to just steal a trade pack and deliver yourself. But that's not what happens in the game. Like if you go and you talk to people that are playing, that are participating in those games, you have a lot of, it's mainly duos and trios. I'd say mainly duos and trios that are delivering trade packs all the time, like all day long, because it's a large map. People like they don't go on the hotspots, they don't travel on the main roads, they do off roads and all that. And there's a large map. There's a lot of known guilds that live within the areas, and even if you lose one trade pack, like you do like 5-10 trade packs, even if you lose one, you're gonna get a lot more profit per hour just delivering a bunch of trade packs, instead of just spending 1 hour, 2 hours to maybe get 1 or 2, and then a large group comes in and kills you again whenever you are delivering. That's what I see happening. Even though you are correct, of course, when it comes down to profit, of course, stealing it would be the best way, but that's simply not what happens at the end of the day in these games. I mean, I never seen a trade pack system in a game that people mainly just attacked and never delivered that. It's always the opposite, at least in my perspective from the games I played.
Yeah. And I mean, that's all very fair. I mean, like I was mentioning earlier, it's all up for testing and all up for change. So we'll see how it pans out. I just I like to make sure that, you know, everybody's point of view gets out there, and I see some concerns. We'll see how they get addressed though. Time will tell.
Yeah.
But
and as you said, like most players, they are focused on PvE, crafting, grinding, making gold, and that's the same case for even PvP games. People do like, even in this game, it's a heavily focused PvP game, but the main thing that people are doing all the time is crafting, gathering, killing mobs, grinding. That's the main content that people are doing all the time. I just personally think that people will be surprised, because I think there will be a lot less PvP that people anticipate in Ashes of Creation. That's my prediction.
Yeah, and I can see what you're saying, but I predict it's going to be not quite as little as some people are predicting, because there's going to be a limited amount of pure PvE that people can do, and what it is going to be contested. Like all the PvE outside of questing is going to be contested, so there's going to be a lot more than some people are thinking. But
yeah,
like I said, only time can tell. Chibi, what do you think about us moving on to say something in the experience category real quick?
Am I allowed to get my input in real quick, please?
Oh yeah. I thought you did already.
No, it's been a little bit. One of the things I wanted to touch on, Strauss had said earlier that it would be a whole new dynamic, even as a PvEer, and I'm really excited for it. And I wanted to bring that up because I think that while you guys are hearing us say, hey, you know, we feel like there needs to be more PvE in this aspect or that aspect, we're strictly talking from our own experiences on things that we liked, not that we were trying to change Ashes. I think it's going to be a huge adjustment for a lot of us who are used to World of Warcraft and Guild Wars and games like that. I myself have not played games like ArcAge or, you know, a lot of these other games that are based, you know, from Steven's experience and things like that. So I am excited. Don't get me wrong. If anybody takes anything from us talking, I am very excited to see how this all portrays. I know it's going to be very different, but I am also excited for more group PvP capabilities. I think that will really change the game for me from World of Warcraft, because I think it's going to be something where you're going to want to constantly be grouped up instead of World of Warcraft being much more soloable. So I think with that in mind, you know, while I hope to see more PvE stuff from my past experiences, I'm very open to seeing what we actually get and how it all feels.